just want to ensure today I have the right link. Yesterday, we were operating on this. We were doing this show yesterday in StreamYard.
Okay.
And everyone was like, "You aren't live." I said, "Sure we are." They're like, "You're not." So we spoke for 17 minutes and we weren't live.
Oh boy.
I have done worse. Well, it was actually on Twitter, not on YouTube. I've done worse. I think we did a 30-minute NFL show last year. Just not even just like you and me talking without any sort of broadcast.
Without even hitting go.
Right. So we're here. We're live.
I mean, you do a lot of shows, so yeah. I mean, it could slip by you, the button.
I'm upset because the Kentucky Open now, it used to be Barbasol, now the ISCO, right?
All right, hit me.
On your life, what does ISCO do?
ISCO. Doesn't the guy that own Valhalla? Jimmy Kirchendorfer, right?
Yes.
Same guy, right?
Yes.
So he prints money. That's what I'm guessing.
What would you say you did? They're pipe fitters, pipe layers, pipe fitters.
Well, I mean,
they lay a lot of pipe
there. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
Jimmy
just totally
lays a ton of pipe. But I'm disappointed that you're not going to be here for it. It's our major.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go to Evian for the women's Amundi Evian Championship.
You don't want to be in the middle of Nicholasville in July?
I mean, it can't be any worse than Connecticut last week.
It'll be worse. But was it bad?
Oh my God, it was hotter than Pinehurst. It literally was. I mean, it was so hot, and it was so hot that on Sunday I thought I was seeing things when protesters were running out onto the green. So
you thought you're hallucinating?
I thought I was hallucinating. Yes. No. I mean, talk about wild. I don't know.
Yeah. Screw those folks.
What a bad beat.
What a bad beat.
Oh man, I had Akshay and Tom Kim, right? So Akshay, he ejected on the 14th hole drive. So he was done. And then, slowly but surely they all started ejecting. Finau, Cantley, everybody in the mix. And then it was just down to my boy and the number one player on the planet. And first of all, I was just impressed that we made the putt to get into the playoff after like all hell broke loose on the green, right? And then we go and move the hole. I don't know. I mean, I understand that they had to, but why couldn't we play the 17th hole? Just make people move. It's not like Nance has to move. Get Balionis in a cart and send her down to the 17th green. But like, give me a hole we've already played, right? The instant that they moved that hole, I was like, cash out. I'm done. Because even with Tom at 50-1, you start moving the hole around, all you do is favor Scheffler, right? We just birdied the hole, and you're going to move it on me? But we got guys dropping shoulders in the middle of the putting green. So now what are we going to do? Gary Young's got to move everything. I mean, I get that. I totally get it, right? I'm not judging that. I wish we went to a hole where we actually knew the hole. So Tom had a 10% chance of winning that.
More on Tom here in a second. Have we seen anything like this with Scheffler since Tiger? No. He's winning everything.
Yeah, but I mean, he's very, very good, and it's like one of Tiger's third or fourth best seasons of all time. So
I lamented that live broadcasts do too many recaps, so we can't recap too much because people grill me for it now. They hold me to my words, right?
Okay, go.
But I will say this, and I said this to Andy on yesterday, or yesterday, your choice.
Did you say it in the first 17 minutes or after we went live?
I said it actually, you're exactly right, because people won't see it. Just like, you didn't say that. Yeah, you're right, because we weren't live for 17 minutes. We were on the wrong feed. We are live now. I guarantee it. No, I was saying that rarely do I see this back and forth form, change day to day at a course like in Cromwell, where you have Goddard shooting an 83 and then shooting a 59 the next day. or this resurrection of careers like Cam Young shooting an actual 59. What do you make of that? Because now you've got Cam Young super chalk this week at 10K. Now all of a sudden he's not a mid sevens. You shouldn't be on tour 7% owned guy. He's a 10K favored to win guy based on what happened last week in Cromwell. And I don't know what to take from that.
Here's what I take away from Cromwell. When he shot 50, what's that?
It's hot.
Oh God, it was hot. When he shot 59, if you take the aggregate of his strokes gained putting stats on the back nine Saturday, he lost strokes putting and shot 59. You can go look it up. Yeah. It's crazy. I know. So if we're coming into a putting contest week, I'm not going to jump on the Cam Young bus, even though he was runner-up a couple years ago and all of that. I mean, look at Willie Z. He was like first-round leader for a hot minute, and the next day he ejected from the tournament. And your point is very well taken because there was a lot of volatility in people that have been showing us volatility recently. So the guys that were good, Akshay, Kim, Finau, Scheffler, all the guys, Pavone, the guys that you and I were talking about that we thought by the end of the week would be good, they were good. And the people that were rocky were super rocky, and they were all over the place. And I think that has to do a lot with the fact that when you're on a golf course where there isn't a super penalty for some of the things that you're doing, then you can have somewhat of a good day. And, but, consistency over 72 holes, shines out over everything else. So, I don't think
30 birdie week, right? It's a 30 birdie week.
It is again this week. Yeah.
And,
last 5 winners averaged 26.3 birdies or subpar scores, really, because there could be.
So unless you're hitting everything to 3 feet, that's why you see Fowler pop here. Bryson, obviously a great ball striker, but good putter.
Great.
You got to make putts.
You got to make putts here. I mean, that's numero uno. And both of us in golf, Andy and I mean, we've been in lockstep with this all week. It's a complete putting narrative at this place. The guys that win. So last year's top 10, which was 13 guys when you include the ties, everybody gained at least like 2.5 strokes putting. And like 7 or 8 of those guys had like over 3.5 strokes or 4 strokes putting. You have to be able to make. I mean, look at Adam Hadwin is like the ultimate example. The guy gained 10 on the greens and he lost 3.5 with his driver. And I've talked to Detroit every day so far this week, and it's soft again. So whether they do it on purpose there, but they have been getting a little bit of rain, but not a ton of rain. And they got like maybe an inch over the 10 days prior to coming into this tournament week. So I think they just like scoring there because they do have the 4-inch rough, but these guys throw darts at the greens and they don't bounce off. And the greens aren't necessarily huge. So you're going to need, it's a race to 25 under, 26 under again.
I hate when I'm called during a show because it blows up nine of my computers and my phone and everything just starts ringing. So Scott McAfee, my friend, who just called me during a live show, I will call you back.
You just got called by Pat McAfee? What?
No. His brother, Scott. I think, and then sort of you were right on Akshay last week. You were all over Akshay. He nearly won. He played great, good value. And then you've got all these super price guys this week in Detroit. Pendrith, who you love, justifiably so. He has not let up since he won last. He's got great course form here in Detroit. But yeah, Pendrith, Akshay, Jaeger, Cam Young, Tom Kim at the top, who hasn't given up any weeks of golf. He plays every single week. So does Cam Young. But Tom Kim does not stop golfing.
At
some point, do you feel like there's just, I need a break? But all these guys coming over here, a lot of them from the Travelers, where's your mind at with them? Even with the little blip with Will Z, right? Will Z, before the weekend, you thought, oh, maybe he's back. Maybe he could win. I know you don't like Will Z in a putting contest, but
no. No. Well, I think the bigger story with Tom Kim is that, he's on a very nice trajectory for his career. I mean, he had 3 top 30s in the majors so far this year. He's been on obviously a nice little heater with what he's been doing, but there's always that one subplot that's hanging over the South Korean's head. And that if he's not in perfect form and doesn't come home with a medal from Paris, then he's still open to military service, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Tom Kim has a little grind in him right now, like a Taylor Pendrith or a Mac Hughes or an Adam Hadwin might have to get on that.
What's the rule now with didn't they expand that rule? Is it a medal at the Olympics? Any medal?
Any medal. Yeah. You can medal. And that's it. I don't even think it's if you win a major. I think it's just if you medal.
Okay. I thought they may have expanded that, but yeah. Okay.
So
any medal.
Yeah. And I was talking to some people behind the scenes last week, and they were just saying like, Tom has brought this up in confidence. Like he's thinking about it. Like he's working towards it. So it wouldn't surprise me if he played every week between now and then, just to be like in great form. I mean, I think his way of playing or playing great is playing per se. Whereas like certain guys like Tiger or Scotty, they obviously they know how to peak and that's what they do. Right. But some guys like to play. And it's obvious he likes to do that. Akshay likes to do that. They're both very young. They both can withstand the heat and everything, but they, meaning temperature wise, but I mean, Akshay's going 8 in a row and Tom Kim's going 9 in a row. It's kind of crazy. Cam Young has like 7 of the last 8 or something like that. It's a lot,
It's a lot.
And I think that the guys that have been showing the skills that we will target again this week in Detroit, if they were at Travelers and they were good, like a Bob McIntyre, I'm still on that boat. I'm not sure that Steven Yeager's putting is where we would like it to be, like it was back in Houston. But that's my opinion there because you mentioned his name.
The Asian Games, yeah. So they won medals at the Asian Games, not Olympic medal. That was, I think, the exception. So Sanjay and Siwoo are clear. Yeah. You didn't mention Will Z though. Still think.
Well,
he went from 7-1 golfer to now a 9.2 golfer and 17% owned based on one day there last week.
No, based on his resume.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can't base it on Travelers because it was mediocre at best, certainly by his standards. I mean, at least Cam Young had a top 10 for you. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to hang your hat on that in a discussion, you could at least be somewhat compelling. But what are you hanging Willie Z on?
One great, what was it, Thursday? Is Thursday round?
Yeah, the first round, yeah.
That sometimes is enough for bettors. Like Will Z's one of those things you just chase forever. It's like Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, he's in that category. Like he gave you enough exciting moments at majors that make, and Cam Young, I think, is in the same boat.
Hey, I have my own guilty pleasures, but I constantly try to remind myself not to chase. I just think that, especially these weeks. I mean, there's such an archetype of better or DFS player in these particular weeks where they suddenly believe that even if their favorite guy is in zero form, that they're like, oh, but this guy loves birdie fests, or this guy's better than half the field,
right,
et cetera, and they just convince themselves year over year or event over event over event. And, I try to stay away from that.
So is the philosophy this week then, if you aren't ball striking to the hilt at this point of the season right now, that it's going to be someone popping off with their putter? See Ricky Fowler last year. I don't know what his putting stroke or when he won, at least.
Yeah.
And we kind of know the guys that are in the good side of putting and the not as good side of putting. And anything can change. That's what makes golf such a high variance sport.
Yeah.
But is that what you're leaning on this week? Guys who can get it out there and then reliable with a putter and can get hot and pop.
Yeah, I would be I would say I'm most reliant on people that can give me some proximity to the hole from anywhere inside of 150 yards, which is a lot of guys on tour. But then, okay, who's doing that very well recently? A la Tom Kim or someone like that. I mean, I walked all 4 days with these guys. I could tell you right now, the guys that were hitting two or three guys that were hitting the ball really good on property. Finau, Tom Kim, Akshay. I mean, every single flag stick at Travelers was like, boom, boom, boom.
Let me stop you right there, and it'll continue. So you said Finau, Akshay, Kim, right?
Yep.
I think Tony Finau is winning the Open Championship.
Ooh.
Weather dependent, because he is a mutter, and I think that plays to his advantage.
So Tony Finau is like a sneaky good short grass, short game player. And he showed it at the US Open, which is always crazy because he has like 0 touch from 5 feet and in. But like he's really, really good in those instances. And he's very good at flighting the golf ball. I mean, that's a whole nother tangent, but I mean, Finau hit it really, really good till the pressure of the moment got him, and then he hit it in the lake, but that's high level tournament golf, when you have somebody of Scotty's nature leaning down your neck, and you all of a sudden you start to think, even if you are a Cantley or a Finau, that you need to do more than what you're capable of doing.
I think Finau's an extremely loose player and calm and relaxed and unflappable. Probably the most chill guy on the course, which plays to advantage for about 68 holes. But then there's 4 holes. Then there's 4 holes, like a par 4 that's 290 yards, where he plays loose and doesn't. Just like, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Just that's the frustration with Tony Finau to me. But the guy's absolutely locked in right now. I love him in majors, and I love him in that Nike rain suit at Troon.
I mean, so there's my point. Like, if you want to go chase him right now because he's close to a win, but maybe the putter doesn't match up to DGC or Detroit Golf Club, right? Like, and I know he's not in the field, but like, I'd say, okay, Matt, go run that, right? But to pick guys,
but he's won before. Like, Cam Young's never won before, or has he?
Yeah, no, but like, there's like a lot of smoke around Taylor Moore because he finished 4th and 6th here. But like, look at Taylor Moore's like, he hasn't finished top 10 since March.
Oh, like, you love Taylor Moore. Come on. It's redemption week for Taylor. Sorry, I'm just doing this. This is obnoxious.
Why are we but why are we putting money on people that need redemption? Right?
Yeah.
Like, if I want to go give money to that, I'll go to the church with Scotty and Ted Scott on a Sunday morning. I'll put money in the pot.
So I interrupted you in terms of the guys you saw just absolutely flushing it. It was Batia. It was
those 3 guys.
Okay.
They impressed me the most as far as ball striking goes, right? And you have to be in that sort of position. And those are the guys that I'm looking for first. And then, can they putt? Can they make 30 birdies? Right? We say this from time to time in the Birdie Fest, but like everyone thinks these weeks are so random, but I don't believe that they are. I believe that there's a very specific path to how you get this done. Right? You could be short or long off the tee, but when it comes down to it, you need to create roughly 35, 36 birdie putts inside 25 feet over 72 holes. And then you need to make 2/3 of those with your putter. Right. So most of those will be between 5 and 20 feet. Like, just give me a list of people who can do that, who can physically do that right here and right now that are in Detroit. And then, like, you're going to come up with a much shorter list, and there'll be people around the periphery that'll be like, oh, but this guy. Oh, but this guy. I just, I haven't been on the road, so I've been following the Discord more this week, and I appreciate all the different conversations, but there's just a lot of, like, I always say this: hope is not an action verb, right? Like, you have like who can you really hang your hat on? Like Bob McIntyre, the guy's hitting it close and he's making a ton of putts right now. He's shooting rounds below 67 like every week, like multiple times. How else are you going to get to 25 under?
But I always hang my hat on the sort of the dopamine drop after your first win on tour, with the sort of like media obligations, brand obligations, money obligations, and your future's locked in. I just think it's tough to chase that back again so soon, right? I just think there's I mean, I just think from a personal level, I mean, I think they can do it for, maybe a week after. We've seen this, with the guys early in the season that have won, but after that, it's like, man, my life's just there's been an upheaval. My life has changed. I like Bobby McIntyre. I just think that he's got his win. I think there's a lot of things on his mind, in my opinion.
So, like, we just have to be careful, and I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
By the way, get to this point in a second. I'd like to see the list. The list being the putters who you can count
on. With the wedge play. But, like, does that mean that we can't talk about Jake Knapp and Matthew Pavone and Taylor Pendrith and, all of these guys?
No. We are multiple weeks out from those wins.
Okay.
Bobby Mack is just like
a month away, a month ago.
It's sunk in, level. And
yep. I
just don't know if this, not to say he doesn't have immense talent. And sometimes it makes you more loose. Like, it's off, the pressure's off, right? I mean, I got my card locked up, but I've got majors locked up, and I've got some cash. We'll go to this list. So you said what the guys you can reliably count on for putts within 5 feet or hitting it to 5 feet, or I forget what you said, but
no, I just said that we're looking for guys that can create those 36, like, so 50% of the holes, you got to hit it to 25 feet or closer. And then you got to make 2/3 of that putt, of those putts. Right. Mm-hmm. So, like, who is a guy that's that good with a wedge that's going to come up statistically in that arena, and it's, that becomes a very specific list. And then you have to decide for yourself who you want to hang your hat on. Like, one of the guys that's going to come up a lot for people is Ben Griffin, but whether people noticed this or not last week, Ben Griffin started wearing sunglasses. The reason he's wearing sunglasses is because he's having eye issues. He has floaters. So anyone that has, themselves, wives, family members, or kids or whatever that had issues with their eyes, like when they're retina and everything, like sometimes things can come loose. And so, like, he's in the midst of like an eye procedure and everything. So would Ben Griffin be a great pick if he was like 100% healthy? Yeah, he would be the type of guy you'd be looking for. Like a Chandler Phillips is another one. Like, and Eric Van Rooyen's another one. Jacob Bridgman.
EVR screamed to me this week. It just felt like a kind of an EVR week.
McNeely, Ryan Fox.
I like Mark Hubbard a lot. I like Hubbard a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's
to me, this feels like a Mark Hubbard breakthrough week, and it's price and his ownership fine. I thought he'd be higher priced, but this guy's flushing it, and he can make a ton of putts, and I think he's so close. He's made 16 of 16 cuts this year.
And Mark Hubbard has definitely taken a step up in not being homeless anymore this year.
No,
right?
Like, I think he's a guy. He's like Adam Hadwin to me. He can just run off 30 birdies.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the thing that's been interesting about Hubbard this year is that on the harder golf courses, he's been okay, right? Which hasn't been his MO. He's always been an Amex guy. He's always been a desert guy, that sort of thing where we go deep. And there's two different types of players there, but like, I mean, that's what's so impressive about Scotty is that you want to go to a birdie fest and the guy can make 25 birdies. And then if you want to go to the US Open, maybe a bad example, if you want to go to Augusta under extremely hard conditions, he can, win that at 10 under too. So like, it's all very, like that's what makes him so great. But
Hubbard, and you said McNeely too, like Hubbard and McNeely seem to be, like those two seem to be the same type of golfer. McNeely, I guess just overnight became a bomber. But he can also make a lot of putts.
So I commented that in my newsletter. When I saw McNeely at Waste Management, I forget who was in his group and why I was walking with him, but it was somebody that was like, who was reasonably long. And I'd have to go look up the pairing, what it was. But and McNeely outdrove him like all day. And I was like, wait a second.
Where'd this come from, right?
I didn't expect it at all. Now, when you from 50 yards and in, you expect Mav McNeely to be world class. Fine. But the way that he started hitting the golf ball, I was like, man, this could be maybe that injury was really a problem of his for like multiple years, not just right at the end when the injury was a thing, right? And now maybe he's feels better and he's letting it rip, or he's like a Xander and he's just gaining length because of a new instructor or whatever he's doing. But like it was noticeably better ball striking. And, so now you take him in this situation and like, I mean, he's even like a rich man's Taylor Pendrith at this point, like
he's literally a rich man, by the way.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Yeah. But it's impressive, like he impressed me with his ball striking. So, he's a guy who can putt and is striking his ball very well. I took him to outright win, but like the only downside to being Matt McNeely right now until he breaks through is that he just had to, he was forced to take 3 weeks off, right? Because they went Signature, US Open, which I guess he could have qualified for, and then Signature, right? So like
right.
He was playing great leading up to that, and then he's like, oh, you got to hit the brakes. And I think it was smart of like a guy like Matt Wallace to go play a DP World Tour event because like he showed some good form, and then now he's coming back over here where he wants to be, and get into those signature events and so on and so forth. So like, I love McNeely this week.
I think it could be a Hubbard McNeely sort of battle. Well, I think both of them get top 10, in my opinion, this week.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And actually put together for the Discord a top 20, 7 guys in a top 20 parlay to pay $1 million. I didn't put McNeely in there. I think I put Hubbard in there.
7 guys.
Yeah, I'll
top 20 here.
Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you what it is. This is for the viewers.
Yep.
Top 20 7-pick parlay. Pays basically plus 300,000. Jagger,
okay.
Norin.
Ooh. All right.
I know. You'll hate this next one. Taylor Moore.
Oh,
Højgaard, Cam Davis, Justin Lauer, and Taylor Pendrith.
I like.
You tilt your head to the right. You like.
So, couple things. So we'll segue into equipment, right? Because we're going to do that as a bit from now on.
Yeah.
Højgaard's using a new mini driver, and we'll find out on Thursday whether or not he puts it into play. But he's using it to hit more fairways. Now this guy's uber long to begin with, but sure. Højgaard's very happy with the way he's hitting the golf ball right now, which is kind of interesting because he's been kind of remote since earlier in the year when he kind of popped at Farmers. So
he's kind of a tough course majors guy that just shows up because he's a great driver of the ball, and he's kind of like a Zalatoris.
Yeah, and he's very, very good. He's a very underrated wedge player. So I didn't go full force into Højgaard, but I'm getting good reports from Detroit, and he's got this new mini driver that he can put in play like he really likes. So if people were on the fence about him, there's a lot of positive smoke around him in Detroit. So I'll throw that out there. Nick Dunlop's been doing a lot of testing. I mean, here's a guy that people like in these birdie fests more so than when it gets hard. And I don't disagree with that whatsoever, but he's been doing a lot of equipment testing. If you go back to last week, the guys we were talking about, Jason Day wasn't great. Chris Kirk wasn't great. Like these guys, they put like new iron sets in the bag, and those would have been good. Those guys normally, if they're playing well, would have been good fits for TPC River Highlands, and they were not. So This is why we're doing this as a bit from now on, because
but Chris Kirk noticeably great price, loved him. Noticeably not great last week. Dunlap kind of disappointed too, honestly. I mean, I expected a little more from him. People like Dunlap this week. I'm not sure I can do it.
Well, no, he's I don't know. I'm telling you to take pause.
Yeah, I take a pause. But in that range, rarely, and they really miscalculated price this week because they have a 5K range on DraftKings. This may not mean anything to you, but basically you can afford a lot of these guys up top without having to have too many scrubs in your lineup. And so the ownership level for these top guys, Kim, Cam Young, Minwoo Lee, Norin, Batia, Pendrith, Jagger, are give or take 25% or more. So every lineup, 90% of lineups is going to have one of those guys in it, right?
Yep.
Because you can do it safely. But do you believe a winner comes out of that high range, like the Kim, Young, Minwoo Lee, Noren, Batia, Pendrith, Jagger group?
Well, I'll tell you, if you go by the year, there's two types of winners that we've had so far this year. The last 6 signature events have been the chalk, have been the leader of the week. It's been Rory and then obviously Scotty every other time. And then every other event we've had this year has been a somebody that's been over like 70-1. Right? It's a very odd year because there's been nobody from like 30 to 60 that's won all year. Nobody.
Right? Yeah, it's either Scotty Scheffler or bombs.
Yeah, or like Matthew Pavon for the first time or something like that, or Chris Kirk at the Century,
right.
So it's interesting how the only guy that gives me pause at the top is Tom Kim. Because he's done this before. He went to Vegas, he was the tournament favorite, and he won. And he defended. So he caught as much media as he could going into that in October. I was there. He handled it all, and he went out and did his business, and it was a birdie fest, right? So, but the other guys up there, I mean, the next most dangerous guy in my mind is either McNeely or Pendrith. I think you could really build yourselves some powerful DFS lineups. We're not talking about winners. We're talking about DFS lineups in that like 8-7 range. I mean, I think there's just a lot of variability in there of what people are going to think. There's going to be a lot of people going to be like, oh, Ben Griffin, and not know about his eyes, or oh, EVR, but he hasn't shown recent form, but he's good in these types of events. Or they're going to go, oh, Taylor Moore, and they're going to look at his history. And then there might be the Matt Wallace group. There'll be the Nikolai Hogard group. There'll be, oh, Cam Davis won there. Lee Hodges has been hot. It'd be hard for me to argue against him.
That's what I said. If he could successfully fade the 9K range, which has absolute, some of the heaviest ownership I've seen. Yeah. Almost every lineup is starting with one of those guys. If you can fade that successfully, I mean, it'd be difficult, but you're going to print all the money for yourself.
I mean, there's 3 of them in there I could fade in this conversation.
Cam Young.
Feel good about it. Well, no, Cam Young's in the 10s. You said 9.
No, right? I mean 9 and above. I'm
9 and above. Okay. Yeah. All right. 9 and above, I have problems with 4 guys, and I mentioned them. Oh no, McNeely's in the 8s, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Akshay.
Your problems. Yeah.
Akshay, Pendrith, Tom Kim. The
you
rest
love.
of them.
You love.
I just think that that fading them all together when you guys build is
problematic.
Could be problematic. Yeah. Yeah. Because all 3 of those guys aren't going to miss. Tom Kim could miss a cut because he's played 9 in a row. That's fine. But I still think Akshay is going to show up. I mean, Pendrith looks really solid, and he obviously
the guy doesn't quit. The guy doesn't stop. I mean,
nope.
And he has course form here too.
No, and guess where that guy? I mean, think about it. He won on tour, and he sits 12th in the points for the President's Cup.
That's what I'm saying. It's him versus Hadwin now, man. I mean,
and Mac Hughes. I mean, they're all fighting for it.
Corey Connors, and Nick Taylor are in, right?
Nick Taylor is in on points right now, but man, a lot's going to happen for those standings when you go over to the Scotland and Troon.
But Hadwin and Pendrith needs to have a little more resume work. But
absolutely,
you know what I mean? Yeah. It's strangely, look at the U.S. side, right? I mean, I'd say 8 to 9 spots are locked up.
Have you looked at that list lately?
But you can't even mention Spieth or Thomas.
No.
You can't. Isn't that crazy for a President's Cup team?
I mean, hang on. I had it up earlier because I was looking at Pendrith. I mean,
he's close. I think Akshay could make the U.S. team.
Oh, Akshay's 13th.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you a head-to-head right now. Would you take with you Akshay or Chris Kirk?
You take Akshay.
Right? I mean, Max Homa's 8th. Max Homa was
and wobbling.
Yeah, well, remember we were talking about him last week. He was 7,800, and that price has gone down. At least Willie Z went up. Max Homa was like, how about all the memes with him crying? Like that's mental. Like that's golf right there, man. Like if you have never been on a range and lost your mind, then you haven't played high level golf. You just haven't. Like
he's lost something. Yes. Yeah. I feel badly for him.
Oh, I got a great lose your mind story about Tiger if you want to hear it. But like you look at some of these guys. I mean, Spieth's 24th on that points list.
He ain't going.
There's no way.
Keegan, they're going to do one more round for Keegan. That's the. I mean, he's earned it, but also the one last hurrah. Yeah.
I mean, you look at. I mean, the U.S. team with no Bryson, no Brooks, right, is pretty bleak.
Yeah.
I mean,
based on form alone, right? Yes.
Our anchor team of Harmon,
Sam Burns could go. I mean,
Kirk. Sam Burns is 12th in points.
They'll probably take him.
Yeah. I mean, the international team is not full of world beaters either. But anyway. But I agree with you. I think there is a chase now with Pendrith. He has not let up since his win. He's a great putter. It's been great. He's a great putter. He's a really good putter.
And long. And I think and course form here. Yeah. I think he's good chalky. Not really. He's probably the lowest owned in that 9K. Well, next to Fowler, one of the lower owned in that range. I think he's good chalk to eat. Jacob Bridgman. You mentioned Bridgman.
Yeah.
What's his deal?
Good putter, good ball striker. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean he's like Chandler Phillips. I mean, really good wedge player, good putter, had good results lately. What was Phillips was 12 at Schwab and 10 in Canada, 10th of Canada. Yeah. You know, like that's good. You know,
there are two names. Well, one in the mid range I thought was everything was pretty pricey and chalky for guys that I don't want to take risk on. And then they got Keith Mitchell at 8.5, right? Who I think is one of you hate Keith Mitchell.
All right, wait, hang on. I gotta see what time it is because I had an over under on his name. Oh yeah, no, it was way earlier than this. It was like it was like 3:11 that Keith Mitchell's name was going to come up. Yeah.
So I hit the over.
You were well over. Yeah.
You hate Keith Mitchell. Why do you hate?
No, I don't hate Keith Mitchell.
You hate him.
And I actually think that Houston is a very good comp for this golf course because it favored bombers and putters, right? So guys that were good there, I think will show up here because we're not just always going with the same old, like we're going to go with Mexico. We're going to go with Craig Ranch and all that. You know, like I think you could find some good crossover people from Houston. But again, like just I don't even have to win a bet that week. Just tell me when he's going to learn to putt. Right?
It's this week in Detroit.
Okay. All right. Would you rather watch Aaron Rye, Keith Mitchell take a putting lesson or watch paint dry? Like, what would you rather watch?
I don't love Aaron Rye.
I mean, he's an incredible ball striker, but unfortunately, like Keith, he fails at getting the ball in the hole.
Yeah.
Keith Mitchell will.
Well, explain Cam Davis then. I mean, past winner. He can't putt.
I mean, Cam Davis had an incredible summer into fall, and then he's kind of went on walkabout again here in 2024. But I mean, the guy had a bunch of top 10s backed up, event after event after event. So he was extremely well-rounded, but he's just not somebody that we're really thinking about right now.
I'm thinking about him. I can't stop thinking about him. I cannot stop thinking about Cam Davis.
I mean, you're a blind guy. What do I want from me? That's obvious as the day is long. You know,
and laying pipe. I can't stop thinking about that.
You knew that was coming back, right? I mean, there's some other dangerous names in there that you haven't really brought up. Like, I know a lot of people are thinking about Davis Thompson. I think DT is a better fit for next week than this week. Thompson's a really good par 70 player. So just keep that in mind.
Like the one guy. My pool's gonna be pretty deep because I think that a lot of these guys can just pop and find form and make birdies, and some really surprising names in the 6K or even 5K range will show up. Webb Simpson. The one name I want to avoid is Taylor Montgomery, and I need you to help me do that.
I mean, the chances are he'll just withdraw before he even gets to Thursday, and then you'll have to pull him out of your lineup.
All right, then who's in your low?
You realize Taylor Montgomery hasn't played a tournament since March.
I know. Hey, listen, I get it. He's low T Mont. I get it.
But that's like the problem with people who just look at models and they don't actually look at the play history, right? Like they're like, oh my God, his stats are so good over his last 24. Yeah, that was in like 2021. Like, what are we doing?
I know who you're going to say for your wild ass, low owned, low priced, off the board play.
They are all
like you had Akshay, you've had Semi Valmaki, you've had a lot of these really deep outside the box plays, and I think this week warrants Davis Riley, but a winner before. But not a lot of form, and he played well.
I had seen things out on the. I had seen.
We need this more this week than ever.
Well, I mean, we haven't brought up Troy Merritt yet.
That's the guy. Put Troy Merritt on an easy course with easy par fives, a Keen Trace in Nicholasville, and this dude can just score. And he's had
the guy makes birdies like there's no tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
He is very good at that. I think that somebody like Troy Merritt, you cannot ignore course fit when it comes to him. You know, and if somebody's like, oh, Keith, but like he sucks. Last year he came in missing 14 cuts in a row.
It finished 8th or something.
No, 17th. But still, he missed. How many cuts you want the guy to miss? I don't even know how he was eligible to be in the field, right?
People were making fun of me this morning because I'm throwing out Troy Merritt's name. I said, you mark it. He's a first round leader Thursday. He's an 8 under guy on Thursday.
He's 4. Think about that for a second.
Yes.
14 cuts in a row. Imagine what that model breakdown looked like. You could go back like 100 rounds and he still sucked. Right?
No, I'll do a top 40 parlay to $1 million, and Troy Merritt is in there.
Oh my God. Yeah. I also well, I'll go back to one of my favorites. You mentioned him, Sammy. This is a good fit for Sammy.
Big Sam.
Big Sammy Valimaki, right? He's like the long lost brother of Neil Shipley, right? They both look the same, although Sammy's even bigger. Certainly Kelly Craft is a good fit here.
That was the one I had my screws on for you. It's Kelly Craft.
But I got a new one for you for this week, for this place. I'm going to go Wu-Tang Clan. I'm not going Brandon. I'm going Dylan. Dylan Wu.
Why?
Right. Well, I mean, we're talking 5K. So I'm targeting this guy to make the cut. Right. Yeah. And then anything over that's gravy. But like Dylan Wu, excellent putter, and his recent tee to green form for the people in the 5K land is like leading them. So, like.
What about Justin Lauer? You didn't like him earlier.
Sure. Yeah, Lauer's up there with like Chandler Phillips, though, and right there with my boy S.H. Kim, Xiong Hong, right? I mean, if you're not on S.H. Kim this week, I mean, tell somebody.
The
great putter, as good a putter as Pendrith.
Who is?
And Bobby Mack. S.H. Kim, great putter. Great putter. Very good.
Any thoughts on Bo? Here's the other name that's getting a lot of attention is Toasty.
Okay, so Toasty was great at Houston, and he's definitely somebody of interest. What concerns me with him is that we would really need to turn around with the putter. In his last 10 measured events, he's lost strokes putting 8 times. Now, one of the places he gained putting was Houston, but I don't know that the greens are as much as a crossover with Doak and Ross. I mean, there's obviously a lot of influences there, but it was more just kind of like the whole package that made me think it was somewhat of a comp. So I mean, you would just need a complete turnaround with Toasty with the putter. If you get that, then he's tremendous fit. But I mean, that's a lot to hope for.
I think that. Hang on one second. I am on a. I've gotten called 40 times in the last 3 seconds.
There's a do not disturb function on your phone.
Oh my God. It's just, it's connected to my computer. So it rings through anyway and they won't stop. Like
what kind of computer?
If someone doesn't answer the phone, do you keep calling them?
Only if it's an emergency.
Or it's me. I can't do David Skins, another one. Everyone's calling it Skins game in the Discord this morning. It was Skins to my Hubbard. That was the comp.
I think Skins might be interesting. Nap. I mean, Nap is one of the most interesting guys to watch play golf live because that swing literally moves in slow motion and then the freaking ball just goes. And he is, oh my God, it is his biceps are like the size of my thighs. I mean, it's ridiculous. The guy is so jacked. It really is cool to watch him play. This would be a spot where he could definitely pop like a Craig Ranch because there's really no penalty for the driver. And that's kind of been the driver's been loose. Like at least there was a penalty for the driver at Travelers, right? For the most part. So it's tight there. And this is totally wide open. Then he's going to pitch it on. And the guy's obviously a good putter. So I think that you could risk some things on Nap this week for sure. I'm trying to look at.
That's why I'll take some shares of Camp Champ. I know he's not serious about golf. I know he's super talented, relies on talent alone. But give me a course where driver accuracy doesn't matter. A guy can hit 370, and he can make some putts.
Yeah, he could really hit it. I mean, he's not hitting it with 370 with too much roll. I mean, that guy freaking moves it.
But Camp Champ just pops out of nowhere. He's just that guy.
Oh yeah, it might as well be Jim Herman. I'm trying to look through these.
Kevin Doherty. That's what I thought today because I know Killer Keith here loves Kevin Doherty.
And what does Kevin Doherty do? He's a bomber, right?
He's a bomber.
So I haven't looked at Kevin Doherty. I'm trying to look at some of these other names here. Bo Haas. Bo Hassler really wasn't on my radar at all.
No.
So again, to go back to the beginning, very specific. If they're just a great putter, then they're probably not someone that's on my radar. I need that person to be really, really good with a wedge and the putter. How did Ricky do it? Ricky did it by gaining 7 on approach and 5 with his putter, right? And you go the year before that, it's like Tony did the same thing. That's the modus operandi here. That's what you have to be able to tell me. If you're bringing somebody up in the Discord, just let me know that they could gain this week 5 on approach and 5 with the putter. Can they do that? If they can, then by all means, smash them.
Right. Otherwise, it's Doherty, Cam Champs. It's Luke Clanton. There it is. Rincon. I know I love Big T, but not a lot of love from Keith on Luke Clanton.
I'm just curious what that's based on, right? And if it's based on network information, then I think that's great. I mean, the guy's down to 80-1. So he's down there with Mark Hubbard, right? As far as odds go. Mm-hmm. And he's down there with Bo Hassler, Daniel Berger. I mean,
and he's not a 5K golfer either. He's 7K. I mean, he's with tour winners right there. Like Sam Stevens is a guy I love this week.
He's great in a birdie fest. Don't get me wrong, but he just hasn't been good lately. And he's deep too. He moves. He lays some pipe. But like with the Luke Clanton thing, everyone gets so like jazzed up. I was impressed that they put Thorbjornsen with Aubert last week, in a twosome. And I was like, oh, that could be bad for Michael, right? But the kid showed up.
Way better.
The pack, right? That's PGA Tour number 1. And people get into these Wagger ratings and everything. Dude, I could give you a list of people that were at the top of the Wagger, like Justin Suh, Doug Gim, Ollie Schneiderjans. I mean, we can go on and on about guys that just dominated amateur
Ollie
golf.
Schneiderjans was in the field in 10K, I'd play him. That is you talking about my vices and guys I chase?
Yeah.
No hat Ollie was our number 1 vice.
I know Ollie and Luke very well because I know the Georgia Tech guys very well. And I'm always at Golf Club of Georgia. And, he's battled a lot of injuries. The guy is super talented and everything, but
that's the one we missed.
Could have been a star. If you go back through through PGA Tour U or the Wagger for like the last decade. I mean, I think Aubert is one of them. Maybe Joaquin, you could consider him to be somebody that's done something. I mean, Davis Thompson's another one. He was up there, right? And I know that people like him this week, but like people have liked him for years now. Like he was destined to be a superstar. And now we're talking about a guy who played good and won U.S. Open, you know?
Jamie Lovemark chased him. Patrick Rogers chased him.
Patrick Rogers would be one. Matt McNeely's another. I mean, Patrick Rogers broke Tiger's record at Stanford.
Bro, right? Patrick Rogers was a bomber, and then I've said this a million times, but then at the John Deere Classic, gained 8 strokes putting, and I thought, okay, this is the next one. This is
Ricky
the next
Castillo. Prize. There's another one, right? Who? I wear a shell necklace, and I'm good at golf, right? Where are you?
Who's this?
Ricky Castillo from Florida.
Ricky Castillo.
Him? Yeah. Right? With the shell necklace and everything. Cole Hammer.
Cole Hammer. There's another one. Yes.
There's another one.
Remember the Panda?
Who's the Panda? Keita Nakajima?
No. Now my name is.
Who's the Panda?
Someone's going to say it in the chat.
Pearson Cootie. There's another one. I'm just thinking about these guys that were like destined for greatness, and they've been really good, you know?
Norman Jong. There you go. Norman Jong.
All right.
He was it.
Oh, Norman Jong. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Captain Ohio. Yeah, thank you, Sweet Spot.
I spent all those years teaching these young guys that were out on the AJGA and, you know, at the US Juniors and everything, man. Like the range was just lined up with like Burns, Scheffler, Braden Thornberry. Like it was like one after another. Norman Zhang. I mean, we were going to US amateurs, and like it was just filled with all those college guys. Like, and like they are unbelievably good. And I have the utmost respect for them in the world. But like to just roll up into Detroit and all of a sudden you're gonna like just take over Mark Hubbard. I just don't see it.
It's all this. It's all, you know, a lot of scars from the tour, a lot of knowing what it takes to win, getting close to your game, and executing. I think for me, the two guys that have not won on tour, Hubbard and McNeely, those are the two I'm chasing.
I'm not upset that nobody likes Thorbjornsen. I would pump the brakes there, right? Yeah. I would go with more proven commodities. That's all. That's
Goddard on Thursday. I thought he should not be on tour. Goddard on Friday. I thought he won 4 majors. It was just so strange.
He's a Jersey kid. Didn't grow up far from me. Went to Rutgers. Wanted a bigger stage. Got it in Oklahoma. Played well. Got himself out on tour. Now he's won on tour. Very, very talented player. You know, he won, and then 2 weeks later, he's in final qualifying for the U.S. Open here at home in New Jersey, and he 3-putts the last hole to not get in the U.S. Open. So if you think it's easy, just call him up and ask him how that went. Say, hey, Chris, how did you feel on that last hole? You just needed the 2-putt on a par 5 that you hit the green in 2, and you 3-putted and you didn't go to the U.S. Open. Thank you.
All right, who's your winner? McNeely.
I
mean, I could bail out and say Pendrith or a Tom Kim or a Jagger. All viable winners. Even McNeely, but I'm going to say Hubbard. Something keeps screaming me back to Mark Hubbard's going to win this week.
I'm going to go in that range as well. On Matt Digest Wallace. For my long shot, I took Matt Wallace.
Yeah.
So
the Discord's going to explode.
Well, while all these other guys sat for 3 weeks and didn't do anything, this guy went and traveled and played his tail off. And he had a bad Sunday, but that almost helped us out as far as numbers go. You know, if he had a great Sunday at KLM and finished top 5, then the guy would have been like 38-1 or something to bet him. And then like, you know, he would have been probably like high 8s or something in the DFS world. And then we all would have been like, Matt Wallace, he's, you know, like, but he's in a nice little spot there. And
someone asked me about Lee Hodges this morning.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Keith got me on him. I really can't describe his game. I have not been able to get him right.
Super accurate. So you'd want there to be more of a penalty for driving. So like he's going to have a tough time separating here because he's not uber long. You got to remember at the 3M where he won by 7, that golf course has eject buttons on every hole. Like on one side, there's out of bounds. On the other side, there's a lake. And then on the next hole, it's vice versa. Like there's a double bogey waiting around every corner there at TPC Twin Cities, I think, for the 3M. And, you that's why I liked him at the Memorial, or why he had been good at the Memorials, because there was a penalty for missing the fairway. Here there is not, so it's tougher for a guy like that to separate. But good drive, accurate guy and good putter.
I mean, that range: Patrick Rogers, Nick Dunlap, Højgaard, Sam Stevens, Cam Davis. Love it.
If Patrick Rogers is ever going to win a golf tournament, it's going to happen on a golf course or a situation like this.
Yep.
Like, where's he always good? Where he can bomb it.
John Deere,
Mexico, here, and the same course every day. Let's not throw him around Amex. You know what I mean?
No.
Let's where we get multiple courses and all of that BS, right? Just put him on a very simple track and just let the guy rip driver 24/7. And the lack of penalty for driver here makes this a Buck Rogers opportunity for sure.
Patrick Rogers, I can see first round leader. Troy Merritt, I can see first round leader.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Troy Merritt. I mean, he comes to Kentucky and plays it, and he just shoots 30 under par. Get him on an easy course with easy par fives. Goodbye, eagle. I mean,
he's just one of those guys that you would just never see coming. I mean, you'd see Tom Kim and Akshay coming because they look different, right? They look like they have some swagger to them, whatever. But you got to watch out for the Troy Merritts and the Lee Hodges of the world. These guys would show up to play golf with you. JT Poston, you'd be like, oh, this guy's pretty sleepy. Next thing you know, the guy shoots 62 on you and takes every dollar into your wallet. And you'd be like, this guy looks like a mope. And you're like, that's the tour.
That's why I believe in course history. Is some guys are afraid that they can get in trouble either off the tee or just in general. And they come to a course where they're like, well, man, even if I miss some, I'm not going to be in trouble. That gives them a lot of confidence. That's not going to happen in Nicholasville, Kentucky at Champions Course. You can't get in trouble there. He's like, well, I can just let her rip. Patrick Rogers, this week, just let her rip. It makes him feel better. It's got to. It makes me feel better when I'm on a course that it doesn't have 17 holes with water on it.
I mean, I used to play a lot of rounds of golf at Isleworth with tour players, right? Practice rounds. And those guys, but those guys, when they were in a practice round, wearing shorts and just kicking back in their cart, listening to music, and this is 25 years ago, they weren't thinking twice about any hazard anywhere. Every pin was accessible. I'm hitting it. I'm throwing darts. That's how much they actually get nervous when they go out there. They are nervous.
Yeah.
They are.
You never have to sell me on Kevin Yu, Nick Call. I don't care what Keith, this guy here, says. I love Kevin Yu. Carl Yuan and Kevin Yu.
Kevin Yu's like Toasty. Ball striking wise, they'll be there top 30 just based upon ball striking. But you're going to need. I mean,
he's Toasty short game.
I mean, if you could just get 3.5. I'm not even going to go there. If you could get 2.2 out of Toasty or you, I mean, you're talking about a top 5, top 10 finish. They're that good ball striking wise. It's just, I just don't know how it happens. Right.
Yeah. Kevin Yu's a decent short game play too. I mean, terrible putter. Yeah. All right. That's it. Who's your winner? Oh, Matt Wallace. Frank, I said Mark Hubbard. I'm going to stick with that. It just keeps screaming in my head. I think it's a pretty deep call for me. And Keith says Matt Wallace. Yeah.
As always, everybody, RPS. Love you all. Thanks for the comments. And we'll see you in a week.
At Read the Line. Oh, fuck. We weren't live this entire show. You want to redo it? Lay some pipe.